Hello, everybody. Very good morning on a Saturday, and thank you everyone who is watching us throughout all three live channels. So, a very hard morning. Welcome to every one of you on a Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, here we are on the kickoff webinar for the CoinSwitch Hackathon that we're doing in the Bangalore City itself. So let's build the future cities together. So without any further ado, and without taking much of the thunder from for myself, I won't miss that out and miss this opportunity to introduce the speakers of today, whom we have. We have with us Mr. Sahil. Mr. Sahil is the director of CoinSwitch, director of engineering at CoinSwitch, and also we have the in-house OG for us, Subhendu, the CEO and co-founder of Skillenza itself. So, hi everyone. Hi, Subhendu.
Yeah.
Hi, Sahil.
Hi, Sahil.
How are you?
How are you doing? I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So I would just request Subhendu to introduce about Skillenza and Sahil to do that for CoinSwitch, and so that everybody we can enlighten everybody about the whole initiative, and throughout we can work on the flow.
Cool.
Right, guys.
Thanks.
Subhendu
Thanks,
and
Akti.
Sahil, over to you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Akti. So I'll quickly introduce myself. I run a company called Skillenza. So we are the go-to platform in the country for companies to run hackathons, engage smart developers, create solutions, build products, right? And we've partnered with, always partnered with great companies, great brands, and one of them today being CoinSwitch. Thanks, Sahil, for partnering with us and making this happen. This is the first, in fact, offline hackathon we are doing after 2 years of pandemic. So it's a breath of fresh air in the hackathon ecosystem, right? That's one of the things. Otherwise, the last 2 years they're all online. It was fun. Online was also fun. It was more broad because everybody from the country participated, but nothing can beat a physical hackathon where there are hundreds of developers crammed in a room,
Absolutely.
right?
I've been itching myself.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for doing this with us, Sahil. Over to you. We'd love to hear from you what you have been doing at CoinSwitch and what are you guys up to.
Sure, absolutely. So I basically take care of a bunch of things here from an engineering standpoint, and been around with CoinSwitch for a little over a year and a half. The What CoinSwitch is, as most people would already know, we're a trading platform that allows you to very easily buy and sell cryptocurrency, and you can learn more about different VDAs. You can basically trade them through our application. Overall, been in the tech space for a long time now, roughly about 14 years, handling some products at scale, and some very early stage companies. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, and it's going to be very interesting running this hackathon. The idea is to nurture the ecosystem with what blockchain is capable of doing, and try and see if we can actually implement that within the context of our cities and our local development.
Thanks, Sahil. Over to you, Shakti.
You can hear me there, right?
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much for the introduction, quick introduction. So, from moving ahead from here, so what we'll do is quickly we'll set up the whole flow. So now I would just request Shubhendu or Sahil. I would just request Sahil to introduce about the whole hackathon and why are we doing it, and why should somebody participate in the whole process itself. If you can just quickly get us through the whole process line and about the hackathon, more in line, you
Sure,
can if you can
sure.
introduce that.
Sure, absolutely. So, essentially, one thing that we've all kind of heard about is what blockchain is, and we've all heard about what you can build on top of blockchain. You can create various different kinds of applications, use cases to solve certain problems, right? Just like how we've been doing it up until now, across the Web 2 ecosystem, where you build applications, you use them in your day-to-day life through apps, websites, and stuff like that. You now have an entirely new ecosystem built around blockchain technology. Essentially, you can create a distributed ecosystem which would run any of the existing use cases or new use cases that you can think of. One thing that seems to be a little less explored is how you can actually solve very local use cases, very simple use cases that you and I deal with on a day-to-day basis, right? And the whole idea is for us to see how this entire hackathon can provide a platform for people to build for that local development. So think about something as simple as picking up a ticket in a local bus or train transportation, right? You can build out a very elegant, very distributed, very public and transparent system on blockchain, and we want to see what people can come up with and solve those urban problems.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. So if we move ahead from here, so what we quickly wanted to understand is what is the genre that can participate for this hackathon, and whom are you looking forward to, overall?
Sure, sure. So we're actually looking for anyone and everyone who can solve a problem by using blockchain. Idea is that you would essentially pick up a solution to any existing or a potential problem that you identify, implement a solution, a working solution on a public blockchain. Let's continue with the ticketing example. You would basically implement an MVP. We want to see a working prototype. Once you showcase that working prototype to our jury, they would then stack rank it on the basis of various different parameters around the kind of chain you've used, the kind of use case you're solving, how well defined or well implemented is your MVP. Those are the kind of things that we're looking for. You can have people with a very product first mindset, people with a very tech first mindset, all of them welcome. And the whole idea is for you to showcase that MVP towards the end of it.
Great. That sounds really, really fascinating to me. I hope that sounds really great to the audience as well who's listening to us and who has joined us through all three channels that we are live now. So, taking this forward from here, Sahil, we wanted to understand, as a student point of view, as a participant point of view, why should somebody, participate? Means what is there for somebody to take back?
Absolutely. So one thing that has kind of evolved over time is everybody's seen cryptos evolve and tokens evolve, and everybody tries to kind of look at them as more from a fintech standpoint, whereas you're currently in an ecosystem which is very adaptable to newer, the next phase of technology, right? They're all waiting to move towards a direction where anything that you build is going to be built on Web3, and web blockchain is the basis of Web3. So you'll get the opportunity to actually build out an application. There you would get the opportunity to get some amazing goodies and amazing prizes towards the end of it. We're also looking forward to finding some very, very good talent and nurturing that talent through CoinSwitch. And this hackathon would kind of give us the opportunity to meet some of those smart minds and then nurture them through our life cycle.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Thank you so much. So another quick question here is, what would the winners bag off, right? What rewards are there hanging around? And what if I win? What is there for me, right, to take back home to showcase my
Sure, absolutely. So one thing that we're kind of doing, there's a prize pool of 6 lakhs, and everybody is going to get the opportunity to grab it. It all depends on the kind of problem you pick up and the final MVP you showcase. Along with that, we're also looking at spot offers. So we're going to actually we're actually going to select people who really do well and really showcase their smarts and talent throughout this hackathon, and we're going to get them at CoinSwitch, and we're going to try to convince them to do what they do within the org. So we'll be putting out spot offers as well.
That's super awesome. So with my last question before I hand it over to Subhendu, and you guys can kick it off on a very high scale. So what is the difference between a normal hackathon when there's other techs involved and a blockchain hackathon that we guys are doing now? So can you make this sense out of it? Yes.
Sure. So one thing that we realized is, the entire ecosystem of blockchain technology is very new. And throughout the course of the hackathon, right, you're gonna be liaisoning with people from the industry, from the space. You're going to be learning from them. You can leverage a lot of details. You can run your ideas past them. These are people who've built stuff on the blockchain. They understand the nuances of it. You would also be able to meet very like-minded people potentially who've been developing on blockchain, and you'll understand what is the difference when you're actually doing an implementation on a public blockchain, right? What does it mean? What does it actually translate to? All of that learning curve is going to help you prepare yourself for the next phase. So that's one of the biggest things that that makes us very different from traditional hackathons that end up happening. I think that's the biggest value proposition I see. Just the learning curve, just the sheer learning curve that you can have during the hackathon is going to be massive.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this, and I hope everybody else is. You guys seem to be very excited about it. And so, without any further ado, so the next phase that we are moving on ahead would be Subhendu and you both can give us a more sense about the whole theme and what are we working upon. What people can really come up with ideas. Subhendu and Sahil. Subhendu.
Thanks, Shakti. Sahil, good to hear you talking about the hackathon, right? It's always fun for participants to understand why the organizer is doing that, because that is the pulling factor, right? And it's always good to hear from the horse's mouth. I love doing that. So one of the things I have seen, Sahil, is I've seen other hackathons, enormous number of hackathons we have conducted. We have done blockchain crypto hackathons also, but this hackathon, to me, looks very different from the other ones, right? Apart from being a blockchain hackathon, I think that the theme that you guys have decided makes it very like poles apart from the other blockchain hackathons, right? Can you throw some light on that?
Sure, for sure. So, one thing that we did was we wanted to have this hackathon as also a mode of educating a lot of people around what blockchain can do, and in the effort to do that, right, we partnered with we partnered with Tejasvi Surya, who's the MP from Bangalore South. We've partnered with Karnataka state government, and the whole idea is for people to realize that blockchain can be part of your life daily, right? So the entire theme is built around that, and we want people to actually experience blockchain in their day-to-day life. So when I talk about your bills that come to you at home, right, for your basic utilities, when I talk about transportation services, when I talk about how do you manage your entire life cycle of let's say food grains getting delivered throughout the ecosystem, right? We basically wanted this entire hackathon to talk to you literally on your day-to-day life, right? That's why building future cities. The whole concept is we're in the tech capital of the country, and we might as well kind of leverage that and make it so that people go out there, start implementing things which touch your day-to-day life. Yeah.
Got it. And how will be the blockchain tech different from, let's say, Web2, right? Let's talk about the food grains, right? You want to track how the food is getting delivered. a lot of Web2 solutions are there. People are doing supply chain solutions, but how will
Yes,
blockchain come
yes.
and change it the way it was not happening?
For sure. So I'll tell you what ends up happening, right? With a normal Web2 application, like you have your apps on your phone, right? There's still a central entity which runs it. There is still information which is very consolidated with that entity. Whereas when I talk about food grains getting distributed, right? I want to know where the produce came from. Was it properly treated? Was there anything that I need to know about from a quality standpoint, right? All of these things can be input into the blockchain. You need to create a mechanism to disseminate that information, and that information can then be available to users publicly, no matter when they want to actually access it, right? The minute these things start to come in on top of blockchain, and you build applications, you end up building dApps on top of blockchain. It gives you the ability to create that decentralization. So you have a lot of people in the ecosystem who are now taking control of your entire life cycle of food grains, in specifically in this example, right? Same thing you could do with let's say something as simple as ticketing. So I come from a movie ticketing background,
Book
and
my show, yeah.
exactly. So I can't tell you how much effort we used to actually spend in making sure that people don't forge tickets, right? So that
Okay.
that Dascado black market, it
That was
existed
happening. I
even.
mean, that
Yes.
was
Oh,
happening with
absolutely.
Book My
Oh,
Show.
absolutely.
Oh, oh.
So it's a cat and mouse game. So there's a lot of things that we did in order to protect it, and sort of those fraudulent chances were very low. But even then, we had to spend a lot of effort in building a lot of these things, right? And all of this information was centralized. It used to sit with, let's say, a venue at that point in time. Whereas if you're able to create an entire ticketing solution on blockchain, it will be very easy for you to just make sure the person who actually is supposed to enter is the one entering, because there are so many people who are kind of validating, making sure that the data that's been put in is accurate. So yeah.
Got it. Got it. I think wherever there are multiple party stakeholders involved, blockchain becomes a very crucial
Yes,
element, right? If
absolutely.
it's, I
So
mean, supply chains, governance, right? I think that's how you guys have designed the themes. So if you can throw a little
exactly.
more light on this on the themes and sub themes, how and was
Absolutely.
it done with conjunction with Surya's team, Tejasvi Surya's team, that this is what the city needs, and let's work it out in the hackathon?
Correct. Correct. So the whole idea was, when we started having the conversation, the whole idea was that we need to look at real world application of blockchain, right? We've all just looked at blockchain in terms of blockchain being used in terms of NFTs, in terms of accounting, in terms of fintech. The idea is maybe put a different spin to it. Try and see if people can relate better. So I'll just run down the themes once, and then maybe we can
Sure.
go back and forth on a few points. So idea is that the first theme and the primary theme that we're going with is how do you build out a smart city. Within that, you would probably want to pick up mobility as a problem statement, so mobility as a service. You would want to look at energy trading. Today, do you know how the energy that you use in your house gets procured? What are the nodes in the entire life cycle of your light getting on, right? You don't have
Yeah.
that information readily available. So would you want to build out a solution for that? Would you want to build out a solution for something as simple as waste collection? Would you want to build out something for public participation? So today, if you have an entire ecosystem where you want a lot of people to contribute to an effort, it could be something as simple as a beach cleanup activity, right? So would you want to create an ecosystem where all of the different people participating have visibility in terms of what's happening? So
Almost like
this
a
is
DAO, right? Almost like a
yeah,
DAO.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the interesting aspect about this topic. It's one of my favorite things to think about. I would absolutely love to interact with blockchain on tolls, right? I would want to know how much has been collected, how much has been paid, what is the utility of it, how are those funds being allocated, eventually how are they being used and stuff like that. So you could pick up smart cities as a problem statement. Next, you could pick up digital governance in its entirety as a problem statement. Now, when it comes to governance, right, even even if people know a lot of information, but they still have that perception that a lot of stuff happens behind closed doors, and you don't get that information out there. So farm produce, agriculture, supply chains, do you have visibility around how do some of the middlemen operate? You would have heard the entire APMC news a couple of years back, where all of the middlemen in the chain had to actually start to give out information to the government, right? So all of these data points you can capture very easily and very very well and very efficiently with blockchain. How do you do automated control of decentralized power? Now, essentially, one thing that we've always uh, one thing that we've always kind of tried to understand is how do you get control of your own government, right? How do you get control of essentially understanding what are the different nuances within your ecosystem that you're running in, and who are the people that you're working with? All of that information, all of that can be very very easily decentralized with blockchain. You have vaccine distribution, you have supply management, all of these problem statements each one of us would have faced, and idea is how do you put out simple solutions to solve them.
Good. So, and these themes, right? There are three larger themes that we are talking about, and there are sub themes. Do people need to restrict themselves to these sub themes, or they can, let's say, in digital governance, they can think a little bit off the track and come up with a new solution, new problem statement that they would have seen?
Not so it's completely open. It's so the idea is that these are examples, these are guiding principles for you to take the lead forward. All of the problems we won't be able to outline, right, in a simple summary. So the idea is to give you a broad topic. Within that broad topic, you pick out your literal and then move forward with it.
Got it. Makes sense. I think there is a third theme also.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
The third one, yeah, the third one and the last one is supply chain. So specifically within supply chain, right? It's very important to understand that there are way too many nodes involved. There are warehouses, distributors. You have logistics. You have accounting. All of this comes into the picture. So some of the things that we've tried to see how well they are solvable through blockchain. One is digital certificates, identity, e-notary services, blockchain-enabled signing solutions. So every time within the node, wherever there is a signatory involved, all of that gets recorded within the chain. So yeah, these are the three main topics, and then subtopics to give you an example, and then it depends on how you take it forward.
Got it. Got it. And just for my knowledge, let's say if somebody does not have understanding of e-notary services, right? How
Sure.
easy it is to understand? Do they Google and understand how e-notary works out there?
It's yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I think everybody who has there's a lot of information available around how some other countries are doing it, some other cities are doing it. You can very easily find out what is an e-notary service. So when you actually do a quick Google search in terms of how some other countries and regions are implementing blockchain services, you'll actually get a lot of literal examples that okay, this is how they implemented an e-notary service to solve for this problem statement. So all of that information is very readily available. A lot of these things are happening around the world day on day. Every day there's a new Web3 company coming up and trying to solve a new problem statement. So you'll get a lot of information.
Got it. So I think once the developers pick up a theme, they should do a typical Google search and go through some white papers and documents and frame the problem statement that they want to solve, right? And after that, obviously, the coding work starts, right?
Exactly.
The real work starts. Makes sense.
Exactly.
I guess, yeah, Sakti wanted to share the whole timeline quickly. Sakti, then we will continue with the talk.
Thank you so much. It was great hearing you both guys converse. Absolutely fascinating itself. So, so the timeline here for the hackathon, once you have built up your own team, you have submitted the initial documents, and everything is done. Our team will shortlist a couple of you. So that's based upon your whole idea and perspective about the challenges, the themes that our speakers have just now introduced to. So we are going offline and we are really excited about it. And so we are doing this hackathon particularly in the first week of August itself. So 5th and 6th is the date. Do block your calendar for the days. We are going to have a lot of fun out there. So the registration is there. Once we start on day one, the initial process starts. The registration is there. There's a big icebreaker session. We all will start conversing with each other. We'll get along with the whole team and the whole board of the hackathon. Because now that we have gone offline, the whole online mood should be shut off, and we should all connect back together, network with each other. Right. So post that. So this happens on day one. So we on in the evening 7 we start. That's why we have dinner together. And once we go live, we have dinner together. We can hang out through the whole night itself. We can work upon our ideas. We can speak to the mentors and everybody around who has been and pro into the space itself. Help each other out as a hackathon ecosystem works, right? So doing that over the whole night, doing a couple of activities also. We'll switch on to day 2 with early breakfast, nice and delicious, and designing part and everything on the timeline, as you can see on the screen itself, it go on a certain flow itself. We'll have industry folks from part of different organizations, ministry, and so on and so forth, who will be part of our judging team. This whole process will go on. So the presentation demo is there for the top 5 teams who build out something great out of the whole themes that are presented to you guys. So judges will be there. There will be a closing speech and winner announcement and everything. So we are very excited about it. I believe you are too. So if you're watching us, just go to the website itself. We'll be showcasing you the link and everything. Just go there, visit us, and we'll see you soon on the day itself. I guess that sounds interesting to both of you as well. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to have.
Yeah, I love how the midnight snacks have been written. Like that's the fun part.
Separately, it should be very highlighting.
Yeah.
The whole idea is to hash it out all of us together and try and really solve some really kick-ass problems.
We are absolutely looking forward to do that as well. So that is particularly about the theme. So prices and everything has already been explained to you. So these are the huge bag up prices that you can grab any point of time. Once you're there, build out something, give us a solution out of it, and you get back home prices worth in lakhs. So that's moreover over the hackathon themes and timelines, and something that you can take back home with you. So here onwards, we'll quickly have another round of fire chat with Subhendu and Sahil. So stick with us, Subhendu. The screen is all yours again.
Thanks, Jagmeet. I think, Sahil, what I really wanted to understand was we spoke about the blockchain and the ecosystem, right? Uh, why do you think it's such a game changer technology, right?
Sure.
I think it's a burning question. Everybody, there are a lot of skeptic also. They're thinking that probably blockchain is not going to hold its promise. But I'm a believer, big believer that blockchain is going to change the way we operate, right? Use internet. So what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So I'm very bullish on blockchain myself, and many of us working in the industry, with anyway all bullish. But just the fact that you are able to go to a point where you are regaining control of basics, right? I think, according to me, that's the most powerful thing that blockchain brings into the ecosystem. Over the past decade and a half, our lives have changed a lot because of the internet and the kind of things that have been built on top of the internet. But you would also realize that your life is basically controlled by certain entities, right? It's basically there's a lot of things that you do and use on a day-on-day basis, where data is being stored, where your activity is being stored, where your basic actions are being looked at and analyzed on a day-on-day basis. It's time for people to take control of everything in their life, and blockchain allows you to do that, which is what makes it such a liberator. That's the way I look at it. I look at it as a technology which liberates you out, and gives you back control. And the minute you're able to do that, it's an endless possibility.
Got it. And what are the areas, or you can say sectors, that are they're getting impacted in the last few years? But what are the vision in the next 5 years, right?
Sure. So you must have you would have seen NFTs getting really popular over the over the past year and a half. You would have also probably seen various different kinds of dApps, right? So people are creating ecosystems where you can launch your own products very easily on a blockchain. So they call dApps decentralized apps. So the idea is that you can just take a simple snippet of code, run that for your use case, build on top of it, and within maybe a week, 10 days, you would have a very in-depth product. Within 24 hours, you probably have an MVP. Right. So all of these really kind of power the ecosystem through. Along with dApps, you would see a lot of adoption in GameFi. GameFi has been just booming left, right, and center over the past 6 months. You have a lot of gaming companies now using blockchain to actually decentralize the entire ecosystem. So you would see a lot of individual domains get picked up, and along with that, there's various cities, countries, civic bodies picking up blockchain to kind of solve for things happening within their ecosystem, which is what we want to see happen here as well.
Yeah, got it. So can you give me an example of, I mean, obviously, when we talk about blockchain, crypto, people are either interested to buy and sell, trade tokens, or they're interested to own an NFT. But as it also aligns with the theme, right? How civic bodies and governments are doing it. Recently, I saw that one of the education institutions actually started awarding their certificates, their degrees on Polygon, right?
Exactly.
So I think those are some of the examples that I'm seeing. But are you seeing interesting examples across the world, how people are using it in government and running the show, running a country?
Oh yeah, definitely. So you would see basic examples happen even where you're trying to do something as simple as like I mentioned, ticketing, right? So there's a lot of cities who are moving their entire local transportation and the entire life cycle of the local transportation to blockchain, because it's actually very easy to do it. It's very valuable to do it. You would see a very large proposition in terms of how people are doing reward distribution, right? So when you're building out applications, when you're building out games, you want to reward people for any kind of activity that they do on the product, right? A lot of that is also moving to the blockchain. People want to be able to run reward constructs on blockchain. I wouldn't be very surprised if in the next few months or years you would see all of your reward points and cards and redemptions and all of that move to the blockchain, because it's so valuable to do it there. So yeah, some of these things are what I'm seeing get adopted. Social is another very big angle. So there are a lot of people who are kind of using building social networks on blockchain, and then those social networks basically give you control back. So all of your data, all of your activity, all of your interactions, all of that is with you.
Your
Nobody knows.
audience, your audience also. Yeah.
All of that is with you. So these are some use cases which are really picking up steam over the past 6 months odd, as per my knowledge. But yeah, there's a lot more out there happening.
Got it. So when you say that some countries have started or cities have started doing public transport on blockchain,
Yeah.
will it be a public blockchain or the government will have a private blockchain dedicated for some of the use cases?
Sure. So it honestly depends on who decides to leverage or of the entire power of blockchain. From my context, I like to work on public blockchains, and the ones that I follow are all public blockchains. So most countries, if they would want to give their entire vicinity or people in that vicinity ability to leverage off blockchain, they'll probably want to do it on a public blockchain, which is what most people are doing it. They're doing it on Ethereum, many of them, since it's very easily adaptable. You can just learn Solidity and just begin, right? It's not too much it's not too much of a learning curve, and if you've already been a developer, it becomes very easy for you to kind of just jump on and start building something.
Good. Since we are on the topic, right, and most of our audience are developers, right, who are getting kind of bombarded with these terms, blockchain, Web3, crypto, tokens, right, everyday NFTs. Everybody is like figuring out, like, obviously there are native blockchain developers who have picked up blockchain as their first serious tech skill, probably these young kids, right, Gen Zs, 18, 19-year-olds. But let's say somebody who has 5, 6 years of experience in the industry, been a Python or a Java developer in a Web2 startup. Now that person is thinking, he or she is thinking that, hey, blockchain is very popular. How do I change my skill, right? How do I jump ship, right? What would be your 2 cents to that advice to that person?
Sure. So, languages have been evolving, at least development languages have been evolving for the longest time, right? Now, one thing that you need to actually have covered across all kinds of development is your basics. So you need to have some language, concept language that you would probably want to already know, even if you're starting out or you've been an experienced developer. It doesn't matter. You need to know basics of programming, right? You need to know basics of data structures, databases, networking. You need to understand some level of cryptography as well. Cryptography is not a very, it sounds like a very scary term, but it's not a very scary term. People have been people always start with MD5 in programming, so you already begin there. So that's what cryptography is. So you just need to understand a little bit more depth. Along with that, you would also want to explore and learn about some tokens, right? One of the most widely used ones is Ethereum. So I would suggest doing it on Ethereum, because the learning curve is very small, and the amount of information available is very vast. So how is Ethereum being used? What are the kind of dApps that are being created on top of Ethereum? That's a very easy start point. Along with that, you would want to understand how does a smart contract work. What is Solidity? Solidity is the language that you would want to pick up if you're going to be working on blockchain, on the Ethereum blockchain. You would want to understand. You would want to understand, if you're trying to migrate, maybe you would want to think about it from a standpoint that you're now going from Python to maybe Go, or JavaScript to maybe Java. Doesn't matter. You're just learning a new language, and there are few nuances around how that language ecosystem evolves.
Yeah, true. Got it. And typically, what would be like, do you think like 1, 2 months, 3 months should be the transition phase for them to at least start tinkering with blockchain?
Yeah, very honestly, you can just get up and running in about 2-3 days as well.
No.
It's not very difficult to get up and running. In terms of becoming proficient with it, I mean, each person has their own learning curve, but yeah,
True.
probably a month or two should be good. Yeah.
And what do you suggest? Like, let's say now I have been a Java developer and I have picked up Ethereum. I really like it. Now I want to become a full-time blockchain developer. There is a transition phase. Obviously, I have to leave my job for search for a new job. But in between, do I go and build out my portfolio? Probably participate in CoinSwitch Hackathon and build a product, something like that. How do I build my portfolio? And how do I
So,
convince the recruiter? Hey, I've been a 5-year Java engineer, but I understand this ecosystem well for the last few months, right? And
yeah,
will you be
yeah.
willing to accept that person internally in the team?
I think the entire space of blockchain development is so there's so much dearth of good people and smart people at this stage that if you're good and you've got a good portfolio of projects that you've built. I'm not saying large scale applications, even
Yeah,
projects that you've built, right? You would definitely get the opportunity to if not be part of the org, at least make a very very good case for getting hired as a blockchain developer, even if you've been doing it for maybe 6 months, 1 year, right? That's good enough for people to see a wider portfolio of different use cases that you might have built. Similar to think about you graduating engineering, right? You basically do a few projects to showcase that whatever you've learned is actually practical and useful, and that's the way you would kind of want to approach this as well.
right. And since blockchain has been open source from day one, most of the documentation is there for people to learn, right? There are enough tutorials. And participating in hackathons like what you guys are doing would also give them some leverage, right? Some starting point.
Correct. Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
got it.
correct,
Cool.
correct. So one thing that you would actually realize is if you just visit, the websites and the information available on tokens itself. So Ethereum, for example, Polygon, for example. If you just visit the kind of information they provide, the white papers that they provide, the study material that they provide for their own tokens, that is a lot of information there already. You don't
Yeah,
need to go anywhere else. You can just use that as your baseline, and all of that information has been put out by extremely smart people, developers just like us, who kind of have tried to create this entire ecosystem where you can uh, pick up a sample project, maybe start off, do a development, ship it, deploy it to an infra, and see how it actually works.
got it. So, I've been always curious, right? We have done so many Web2 hackathons. I've interacted with Web2 developers, Android, iOS, data scientists. But blockchain developers, what is the mindset like? Is it a different mindset when you become a blockchain developer from a security standpoint, from like it's very open source, right? What are the nuances?
Yes. So I mean, cryptography that I mentioned earlier, right? And security when it comes to networking, when it comes to how do you handle data, how do you handle ledgers, how do you handle maybe idempotency, how do you handle commits, rollbacks. All of those things are things that you would probably have to focus on a lot more. You would want to start going into a zone where you've kind of you've kind of understood all of these concepts well before you actually build on it, because otherwise you're going to run in circles and you're going to waste time. So you might as well
Hmm.
learn these concepts beforehand, especially when it comes to cryptography and security, because you're going to have to build various different kinds of algorithms on top, right? So you should know some of these pieces.
Got it. And since most of the Web3 products will involve some tokenization, wallets, right? So there is a lot of security angle. I've been hearing that every crypto product is a fintech product, right? And whatever you do, even if it's a ticketing app, it becomes a fintech app, right? So the security layer becomes a very important piece.
Yeah. So that security layer is actually a very important piece, because now with blockchain you've distributed everything, right? So you don't
Yeah,
have one single point of failure. Everybody in the node has equal responsibility, right? So now you distributed it. Now you need to make sure that you are also guardrailing it to a certain extent so that you don't have bad actors. And that's the
yeah,
reason
true.
why the increased focus on security.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So I was always basically interested to understand. Let's say, for example, since you're here, right? How much blockchain technology, centralized exchange is using? What pieces are being built there? And
Sure.
what are the Web2 features that you guys are building, right?
Sure. So from blockchain and a Web two standpoint, so the way we look at it is we're trying to build out the entire crypto ecosystem right within India, and that requires not just blockchain development. It also requires normal, regular application development, website development.
Yeah.
Service microservices that you would want to create and stuff like that. So all of that remains in that Web2 context where we build out these services and applications on that. Whereas whatever solutions we build, so for example, we're doing something with Create, right? You might have heard about it all over the place. So how do you build an index construct, how do you build various different other use cases from an exchange, talking to the chains, understanding transactions, validating them, making sure that those transactions have reflected in X% thresholds and stuff like that. So those are the kind of things that we do on both the sides of the spectrum, but long way to go. There's more than there's an army of engineers at CoinSwitch sitting and wondering daily what do we build next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we kind of take it. We have a very tall order in terms of our plans, and we try and attach solutions to each of those problem statements. Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah,
And
problem
what would be a
statements.
good? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying that the problem statement could be solved through a simple Web2 architecture, or it would need a blockchain solution. It depends on what we arrive at that point in time.
Got it. And in fact, obviously, from a end user perspective, my interaction, I don't. The tech has to be invisible, right? From a
Yes,
normal
yes,
user perspective. So that's the big challenge you guys have, right? You have to
absolutely.
engage with millions of users who are trying to trade tokens, which are people who typically your average Joe, right? Who might
Yeah,
just want an Android app and use it. So that's
correct.
where you have to play
And
a bigger role.
yeah, and one of the biggest things that actually happened with CoinSwitch is the kind of simplicity we provided, right? The whole reason why people love us so much is the fact that it's as easy to buy crypto as it is to order food, right? And
Yeah,
and
that has to be there.
that's
That's
what we started.
necessary for the next billion users to come to the
Yeah.
ecosystem, right?
So
If it's
exactly.
not
So
easy, then
exactly, you need to build out an experience where people are just wow, this is it, and it's just that beautiful. So yeah,
yeah,
that's what we obsess about.
makes sense. So last question, and then I think there are some audience questions that Sakti would have by now.
Sure.
So what would be since you said there is an army of engineers? I bet the army is still small, right? In your head, you want a bigger army. So what are
I
the
see.
right the
In,
good
in,
ways
in
to
a tech company, bandwidth I think is the one thing that everybody
yeah, I know.
requires more and more of. So yeah. So sorry, the question was in terms of numbers.
Yeah, then the question was in terms of obviously the hackathon is a great way to engage with CoinSwitch team, right? What are the areas you are hiring? What are the people you are looking at? What is a good way to contact you, right? Since you're here.
Got it. So you can contact us through our careers page in case you would want to apply. The hackathon itself is going to have a lot of CoinSwitch people around, all over the place, me included. You would have we're hiring across. So it's not that we have any specific area that we hire. We hire across. So from security to DevOps to backend engineers to blockchain engineers to front end engineers, all over the place. We're doing umpteen number of projects, and there's way too much going on at any given point in time for the requirements to not be there. But yeah, so people, smart people are always required, and that's something that we're any day doing.
Got it. And one last personal question. So what was fun, Web2 or Web3 for you? Development from a development wise.
Uh, from a development standpoint, Actually, unfortunately, I haven't learned enough yet. So I'm still toying around with and in fact preparing a little bit for the hackathon as well because I want to participate. I don't
Nice.
think I'll be able to, but I'll still participate soon though. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm still learning on the Web3 aspect, but it seems like a lot more fun because the kind of challenges at one point in Web2, at least personally for me, had become very repetitive. In Web3, it's a whole new ecosystem. You
Yeah.
just need to
It's
unlearn
a
things.
rabbit hole. It's a rabbit hole,
So
right?
you,
Yeah.
yeah, so you need to unlearn things and then relearn them. So that part is a lot of fun.
I think that's the advice probably the audience should take is that if they're looking to switch, the unlearn is the first skill they have
Yeah,
to have, right? Then they can obviously learn. There are enough documentation, as you mentioned,
exactly.
Ethereum or Polygon. There are enough good documentation,
Yeah,
developer
you
friendly
can't you can't you can't get
tutorials.
in with biases. Yeah, you can't get in with biases. Yeah, the minute you get into biases, कि अच्छा ये तो ऐसे ही बनता है,
Huh.
you'll be in a tough spot.
Yeah, that's true. I totally agree. That's what the biggest skill all professionals should have, right? Unlearn, right? Because every
Yeah.
10 years or 5 years, you would have seen the ecosystem
You'll
change,
have
and
to, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
You'll have
that's true. That's one of the big takeaways from me whenever I discuss with folks like you, senior folks, experienced folks. They are all are saying that, dude, I have been in the industry 15 years. I'm still learning, right? So that's the humility, right? Modesty that experienced people have more than the young guys, to be honest.
thank you
Cool.
so much.
After you, Shakti, enough of chit chatting. Are there audience questions? I bet there's some few questions I saw.
Yes, it was just mind blowing hearing you both, on the fireside chat. It said, so yeah, we've got a couple of questions down the line. I also have jotted down some that we have received earlier through the discussion board of the platform itself. So quick question shooting to Sahil. Let me just check it on the comments here. The first one is on the screen itself. Sahil, will any support be provided after building the POC during the
Absolutely,
hackathon?
absolutely. So, absolutely. The idea is for us to see the kind of POC that you build, look at the look at the problem statement that it's solving, and then back you in whatever way we figure out mutually to take it forward for sure.
And Sahil, will I was also curious to know this. Will Tejasvi's team, Tejasvi Surya's team, be interested to take it and implement somewhere in the city's
So
life cycle?
we will definitely want to kind of try and see what we can implement, what we can't implement. These are all conversations that would happen after, and that's the reason to kind of have some of these really strong members be part of this effort, right? So that if we actually see something which is really solving a problem and bringing in value, then we will kind of work with you in order to take it forward with privately, government, however, what would give you the best, moat out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. We have the second question in line. This one has to be really quick from your side because they asked about what's your 30-second take on and description about Web3.
30 seconds. Okay.
It's a fun question.
You got to be very quick. Yes.
A description of Web3. Okay. Uh, just uh, just bringing power back to you.
That was super quick. That was not even
I'll
30
say,
seconds. Thank you.
yeah.
Please.
It's like it was amazing. So like just like the way the Bane said in Dark Knight Rises, right? Giving back
Right.
power to the people.
That's
Yeah.
that's it.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, we've got a couple of more here. So we got this one from Facebook itself. So how can rewards and loyalty be engaged via NFT? Any ideas?
Yeah, actually, you should. So I'm a bit of a GameFi nut as well. So you should actually look at what the new GTA San Andreas is, or the new GTA is doing with rewards and distribution of NFTs. That's actually a very nice and elegant way to try out how distribution could work. So maybe just read about it a little bit. You'll see what a very large Activision company, a company like Activision, is doing with one of their games to actually distribute rewards and prizes and NFTs and goodies.
So here's another one. This seems to be very interesting also. What type of businesses are going to thrive on Web3? What businesses will falter?
Interesting. So, all right. So, businesses that would probably businesses that would probably do very very well is where there are multiple nodes involved. So, whenever you have a one-to-one relationship happening and one-to-one use case being solved, you would probably not have the best use case of blockchain. But where you have a large ecosystem, multiple nodes, too much information flowing in, too many operations being taken in, that's the one that would really really succeed, because that's what blockchain is made for, right? It's a collection of blocks. That's what it does. Versus when you're doing a single one-to-one kind of problem solving, it may not really help you too much.
Right, absolutely. Shooting up the next question. This is something related to CoinSwitch itself. So here you go. Will CoinSwitch move to Web3 in the future?
There's a lot of the only thing that I'll say right now is there's a lot of things happening at CoinSwitch.
And you should join their
So
membership,
you,
right?
right, absolutely. So yeah, so that was very so you guys have to hop onto the train to know more about it. So just join us hackathon. Maybe you can connect to anybody during the hackathon space itself and learn more about what they are doing and into the space itself. Coming up with the next question here. Okay, we've got a couple of them. So this one is interesting. I've noticed the mention of Web 5. What is that?
Yeah, वैसे तो Web 10 वैसे Web 10 भी बन जाएगा, but it's a little too it's a little too early. Let's see how Web 3 evolves, and then we'll talk about 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's a simple math. 2 + 3 = 5. That's it.
Right. Okay, so here comes the next. So there are a lot of questions I already have backed off, but I'm just choosing out randomly. So here's
Sure.
another one. Can Web3 really decentralize the internet?
Yes. So that's the bullish part that we were talking about, right? If you're bullish on blockchain, then yes, you believe the fact that Web3 can actually decentralize, and that's the thing that we a lot of us want to gun towards, right? We want people to have control and power, and just have that decentralization with them. So I'm a very very big believer that absolutely it will. It's going to be transformative over the next 5 to 10 years. The way you live now is not going to be the same way that you live half to a decade later.
Absolutely, I agree to that. So shooting out just the last question for today. We'll take everything offline. We'll put across all the answers, collected from Sahil onto our channels itself. You can visit the whole website itself of the hackathon. We have a lot of FAQs and all the discussion forums. So we can quickly chat there itself. So last question for you, Sahil, would be I have to really choose out, how. So here you go. How will the platforms change with the Web3 system? Like some of them are running on Web2 now. So what would be the major difference?
All right. So essentially, your storage of information is one massive thing that would change, and that's something that you would have to learn. You would have to learn the whole cryptography aspect, algorithms that run those cryptographic logics. Those are a couple of pieces that would really change. Another one that would change considerably is how do you actually use infra. So I know that a lot of people relate infra to a very set structure. I have routing load balancers, application servers, databases, cache, etc., etc. Right? These are basic nuances that people understand. You would have to unlearn and relearn how blockchain infra works. How does that piece entirely work? So those pieces are going to be changing quite a bit. So platforms would change considerably when it comes to this new ecosystem.
Yeah. So yeah, that was all from the questions point of view. I would not take much of your time more. So we are already on time, all right? So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us on a Saturday morning itself, and all of the viewers who are watching us and learning more about the hackathon ecosystem from both our awesome speakers today itself. So we'll catch up with all of you during the hackathon. So what you guys can do, you guys can scan this. It'll be posted on YouTube and everywhere else. I've also dropped in the link to register in the chat itself. You can go ahead and check out that. So thank you so much, both of you, Subhendu and Sahil, for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was great listening to
Thanks,
both
Shakti.
of you converse. So thank you so much, everybody watching.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure of ours as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahil.
So yeah,
Great chatting with you.
thank you both of you.
Bye. Bye, Shakti. Bye. Have a good
Bye
day.
everyone. Thank you. You too. Have a good day. So see you guys soon on the hackathon itself. To learn more about it, you can check out the chat box now. Thank you.